Hello friends, welcome back to Triple Z Legal Consulting YouTube channel. In this video, we will note about the different types of business structures in India. We have variety of business structures in India. One can select any structure according to his or her need. In this video, we will cover major business structures such as sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability partnership, private limited companies, public limited companies, one-person companies, Section 8 companies. There are various other forms of business also present in India, like joint ventures, NGO, or trust. We will cover those in our next video. Let's start with the first business structure, that is sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship is one of the oldest and easiest business structure to start in India. A proprietorship is a type of business that is owned, managed, and controlled by one person, who is the proprietor. A sole proprietorship business can be started from home or on a premise with a minimum amount. One can start his or her proprietorship anytime and from anywhere. You just need a business idea that you can start your own business. Let's say you want to start trading in stationery items. All you need is a company name, and that's it. You can start your trading business from home. Now, some of the advantages of being a sole proprietorship are control of the business. As you are the sole owner of your business, you have complete control over your business. No registration required. There is no mandatory requirement of obtaining any registration for a sole proprietorship. But as per your business need, one can obtain registration in GST or Shop and Establishment Act or under Labor Law or under Food License. Quick decision making. Since you have complete control over your business, every decision is being made by you, and this improves the decision making timing. Less compliance. There is no mandatory requirement of registration for this type of business, and hence there are very few compliances that needs to be taken care of. Some compliances are filing ITR return annually. Now, like every coin has two sides, same applied here. There are few disadvantages as well. Unlimited liability. Since one person is handling everything, he is the one who is infusing the capital into the business, and he is liable for the losses occurred by this form of business. Here, liability of the proprietor is unlimited, which means that his personal property can also be used to set off his liability. No perpetual succession. Perpetual succession means continuity of business even after the demise of the owner. Here in our case, proprietor is the sole owner, and after his or her demise, business will also get affected badly. Difficult to raise funds. Most investors prefer the registered form of business instead of making investment in these type of business, as there is no concept of profit sharing in the sole proprietorship. Now moving next form of business, that is partnership. A partnership is an agreement between two or more parties to collaborate and to earn profit. The Indian Partnership Act 1932 governs the setup and workflow of the partnership forms in India. There are 5 basic elements that must be present for constituting a partnership firm. That is, there must be a contract, must be between two or more persons, must be an agreement to carry a legitimate business, must be an object of mutual profit sharing. Business must be operated by all or any one of the partners acting for all. It is suited for those who want to start their business with friends and family members or with like-minded people. Individuals who have entered into a partnership with one another are called partners individually. Now, advantages of this form of business are no capital requirement. There is no minimum capital limit set. One can infuse capital based on their understanding and requirement of the business. Registration is not mandatory. Option is available with the partners whether they want to register their partnership or not. Though registration of partnership is not mandatory, but it is advisable to always register the partnership and partnership deed. Benefit of skills and experience from partners. This form of business enjoys the benefit of the skills and experience brings by the partner. Suppose two friends, Mr. A, who is a marketing expert, and Mr. B, who has an experience in software design. If they decided to open a partnership firm for providing services in software design to other companies, then here both can enjoy the benefit of skills and experience of other partners in the business. Less compliance. Same as sole proprietorship, very few compliances are there for the partnership business, like amending agreement whenever there is a change in the partners or their contribution or in the objects of the firm, and filing of ITR of the firm. Same as sole proprietorship, partnership firm also have few disadvantages such as unlimited liability and difficulty to raise funds. Now, another business type is limited liability partnership. It is a sort of partnership firm that is incorporated under the LLP Act. In India, limited liability partnership is defined as an entity formed and registered under the LLP Act 2008. It is advantageous for many businesses as it includes both the benefits of a partnership firm as well as company in a single form of organization. As the name suggested, it is an upgraded version of partnership firm, yet partners start their business as a registered entity. Advantages of LLP are no minimum capital requirement. One can start LLP with even 100 rupees as their contribution. There is no minimum capital requirement set. Separate legal entity. Important benefit of LLP is separate legal entity. This means partners and LLP are to be treated as two different persons. Limited liability of the partners. Here, liability of the partners are limited to the amount of their contribution. If something goes wrong, each partner is responsible for what they put in. So personal things are safe from business problems. Less compliance in comparison to companies. LLPs don't have to follow as many rules and regulations as big companies. This means less paperwork and less to worry about. Now some disadvantages of the LLP. Registration is mandatory. Registration of the LLP is mandatory under LLP Act 2008. Limited access to capital. LLP don't work like big companies where people invest money and become owners. This makes it tricky to get a lot of money from investors. Now, another important and famous form of business entity is private limited company. A private company is a company which is owned by shareholders or members of the company. In India, companies are defined, formed and registered under the Companies Act 2013. This is the most famous form of starting a business, and I am sure that you have came across various companies in your daily life. Some of the advantages of the private company are low capital requirement, separate legal entity, limited liability of the shareholders. Like partners in LLP, shareholders in the company have limited liability. Their liability has restricted up to the amount of their capital infused in the business. Access to capital. Most investors prefer companies for their investment, as in this business form, they can acquire the shareholding or even the management of the company in which they are making the investment. Perpetual succession. Companies can't be extinguished even after the demise of all its director and shareholders. Even then also, company will keep on running. Registration is mandatory. These are the disadvantages of the company. Companies are required to get the registration under Companies Act 2013. Complex legal compliance requirement. There are various compliances that are required to be done or complied by the private companies. There are certain procedures and compliances in almost every working of the company. Restrictions on transferability of shares. Shareholders of the company are required to first offer their shares to the other existing shareholder of the company for selling. If current shareholders refuse to accept the offer, then only shareholders can sell his or her shares to another person. Another form of business entity is a type of company that is public limited company. It enjoys all the benefits of private company. Here there is no limit on the number of shareholders of the company and there is no restrictions on the transfer of the shares. Some advantages are low capital requirement, separate legal entity, limited liability of the shareholders, access to capital, perpetual succession, and IPO. Public companies can also get their shares listed on the stock exchange, like Reliance, Infosys, Tata, Maruti, etc. Now, some of the disadvantages of public limited company are same like private company. Here registration is also mandatory. Public companies are required to comply with complex legal compliances requirement. Stock market vulnerability. If public companies get listed, then SEBI compliances are also applicable, and this listed increase the stock market vulnerability on the public companies. Another form of business entity is one-person company. A single individual establishes and manages the company. In India, companies are defined, formed and registered under the Companies Act 2013, as we have already learned in the private limited company. One can say that this form of business is an upgraded version of sole proprietorship. As the name suggested, a single person can choose this form of business if he wants to obtain the registered entity status. Advantages: low capital requirement, separate legal entity, less compliances, access to capital, perpetual succession, and easy to manage. It enjoys benefit of both company and sole proprietorship form of business. Disadvantages is that the registration becomes mandatory for this type of business. Now, another form of business structure, that is Section 8 company. Well, it is not exactly a business structure, as Section 8 company is a type of non-profit making organization. A Section 8 company is one whose goal are to promote the art, commerce, science, education, sports, charity, social welfare, religion, environmental protection, or other similar goals, according to the Companies Act. These organizations similarly devote their profits to furthering their mission and do not pay dividends to their shareholders. Some advantages are low capital requirement, separate legal entity, less compliances, perpetual succession. All the good features of the company form of business is enjoyed by a Section 8 company. Disadvantages are members of the company cannot get any dividend, as it is incorporated to provide social services and not generating profit. Well, we have covered few business structures in this video. I hope this video is of some use to you. Stay connected for informational videos like this.